Hey, Gary, get a load of this crap here. Yeah, we were lied to, Gary. We got scammed by CG. Yeah, I'm doing my number 2. What is that? Yeah, how else are you supposed to play a mobile game when you're on the toilet? Come on, dude. No, I'm not going to tell you what I had for dinner last night. Anyways, besides the point, Gary, we were lied to by Capital Games. In regards to what you're asking, well, datacrons. I mean, don't you care about datacrons? I mean, hey, no, Gary, no, don't you shut me out. Don't you, Gary, no. Go. I'm going to revoke your access to that button. You know, I'm getting really sick and tired of you. Fine. Well, if you don't care about it, let me talk to you guys about it. Because I know you guys care so much about datacrons. You guys love when we talk about this video. It's kind of important whether or not you like datacrons, because instead of CG's pursuit of making datacrons more liked and accepted by the community, they're kind of being sleazy with us. And from a certain point of view, they're not lying. But when we ultimately see the grand picture of things, they definitely lied to us. And that's in regards to the datacron economy. A couple of things we need to break out here. I'm a little extra spicy because I just did like 6 hours plus of remodding for Territories. It's like, all right, I'm ready. I'm buckled in. I want to get my level 3 rerolls, because the biggest crunches for this set 4 season, which I'm going to give you some good news on how to adapt or die to the situation. So be it. Right now, the biggest crunches are by far number 1, the reroll materials for Mark 3. So rerolling the level 9 datacrons. Secondly, caches, which get a load of this crap in a second. This is also very difficult to come by. And third, it's kind of difficult to come by the datacrons themselves to actually upgrade them. And the community's not very happy right now. And we'll explain why here. So today's conversation is pretty much people asking, hey, Arnold, what's your take on the situation? Have you seen this change? Because it's the first time we're going to actually be able to farm level 3 reroll materials for this set 4 of datacrons here. And people aren't happy because this freaking post right here, which I'll remind you of if you remember, Territories is supposed to be the sole area of getting the actual reroll materials. Yes and no. They kind of I don't even know what to say, because it's true yet not true here. And they made no improvement. And in fact, we're making a pretty big step backwards in several regards for the reroll materials, for the caches, and even getting access to the upgrade materials as well. If you guys remember, they did this self-appointed FAQ, picking questions that I never heard anyone ask. And it really makes sense now, because they needed to make up these questions because they needed to make changes to this set 4 economy, because this is the first season where we've scrapped away an earlier set to convert into the new set. So I had my set 1 deleted, and I got this given to me as a result of them self-scrapping for me. And the good news is I'm swimming in Mark 1s, and that hasn't really been a problem since after set 1 for the most part. The problem is now, as I said, caches as well as the datacrons themselves and level 3 rerolls are becoming a lot more difficult to obtain. So here is a picture of what Territories used to get. You got your reroll materials. That's level 3, 2, and that's level 1. And you also would get 2 million cash, for example. You would get some datacrons, and of course, you'd actually get some materials that actually upgrade those datacrons. Well, in their pursuit of simplifying the system, as they said, actually, you know, bring it back over just so we can make sure you see the direct verbiage here. This is the question right here no one asked for. I never really understood where I got materials for datacrons. Has that been made easier? Notice here, this is always important. It really sucks because you don't want to play splitting hairs, what do words mean, with a game company, because you want to enjoy the game, right? Unfortunately, CG's not your friend. No matter how much you want to believe, they're not your friend. They're always trying to get you something. They're trying to make money at the end of the day. They kind of do it in some sleazy, scammy ways. In regards to them saying easier, CG responded with simpler. This is always important, people. Anytime you're going to get into a negotiation or someone and get something down in writing, you need to define these ambiguous terms. What is easier and what is simpler? And CG, from a certain point of view, they're not lying. They did make things simpler, but as a result, they're making things more complicated, which is kind of going against the grain, I think, of what this question is right here. In Conquest, you only can acquire and upgrade materials, which is partly true. You can still get Mark 1 and Mark 2 reroll materials for the level 3 and level 6 datacrons, which I hope they don't take those away. And then Territories are supposed to get the reroll materials. Well, we thought since they're taking away the reroll materials, especially for the level 3 or the level 9 datacron materials, they would increase the rewards here. No, that is far from the truth. Far from the truth. So as I showed, we still have 60 level 3s, and this is assuming you're in a 380 million GP and you get first place. You still get 60 of these, which is going to be incredibly important. 45 of those, as well as getting 30 of these. So that's not changing. However, they cut down the cash in half. You're only getting 1 million now, so they're pulling it back there. And also, you kind of already knew this, they took away the upgrade materials that you can get. So they made no changes to the system here. And that's one step in the equation. And let's not even get into the fact that you're likely, you might not be in a top guild. And if you're not in a top guild, it's going to become a lot more difficult to actually get the materials you need, especially if you're getting second place. You only get 10, for example. And the other problem is, as you're trying to re-roll certain tiers, the cost of level 9 goes up. Let me show you my inventory. Oh, real quick here. And at the very end, I just want to show you, once you kind of explain how incredibly tight this economy is now, it's going to really put into perspective how much some of these people are spending nowadays here. So checking out my roster, which again, I don't want to buy the packs. I'm engaging with Conquest as much as I can. Areas in the game without having to buy the packs. And right now, I'm 2 out of 4 in terms of kind of getting Odo. Luckily, I got the Dash Rendar one, and I got one Lord Vader, and then I got a duplicate Lord Vader, and a bad roll on TIE Fighter Pot, which I wanted a Darth Vader here. And the problem is, especially if you're trying to re-roll, let's say, this here, it increases the cost of this. So instead of this being like a 20, it's a 40 cost re-roll. So especially in now territories, without them increasing the amount of the level 9 re-roll materials, this is going to be incredibly stingy to get these upgraded, to get them leveled up in your favor here, because now in Conquest, you neither get them inside of the crate and you neither get them in Sector 5. This might be anecdotal. Something that's in positive favor of this season is that I feel like it's a little bit easier to get these. I feel like these are kind of easier to come by. Could be very anecdotal. That one does feel like things are made change for the positive, but you can't get any level 3 rerolls, although you can still get level 1s and 2 rerolls outside of territories, which is a bit funny here. But yeah, even in the crate, which I'm almost at max crate here, you're not getting any rerolls, and there's not even like a huge change to like the actual upgrade currency that you need here. So things are kind of being dialed back, and it's really, I think, just because they were anticipating this influx of new materials from the set 1 being scrapped. So they created this self-appointed Q&A session to kind of make it seem like they're making things for the better. But if we answer the question, were things made simpler? No, they weren't made simpler. I mean, simpler in terms of, I think they were trying to define it as simpler means less places to find, means easier for people to know where things are. I would argue they made things more complicated, more difficult, because in their pursuit of making things less accessible and without increasing the rewards to accommodate for this lesser accessibility, they've made the system a lot more complicated here, where now if you are going to be fortunate to get level 9s because you're adapting to these as much as possible, it's going to be nearly impossible to get the right level 9 rerolls that you're looking for. And that's going to be a huge problem, because now pretty much the only way to get access to this here, I'll show you this real quick here. The only way to really get here, here's a roster at the top end. We're only like 1 week in the set 4. The only way to get access to truly the proper amount of level 9 rerolls that you need for the Datacrons is truly just through packs. And just looking at this makes me just say, holy cow, that's a lot of moolah being thrown towards these Datacrons here. In case you don't know what packs I'm talking about, I don't advocate for these packs. It's you guys know my stance. It's one of those things where I hate to say it, I've taken Grand Arena a little bit less seriously because I don't want to do this, especially when it's 999 crystals. You might not even get the proper amount you want. Maybe you'll just get a 20, and that's not going to be helpful, especially if it's going to cost 40 because you decide to re-roll the level 6s to get the right cooldown reduction Datacron. For example here, it just turns into a giant pit that's going to be hard to fill unless you get access to these packs and you go to town. Hey, the good side is there's no cap on these packs as well here. So unfortunately, I do feel like CG lied to us in this situation. It may just come to a matter of perspective from a certain point of view. They did make things simpler because now you can only get in territories, but now they made it more difficult. They're not giving as many materials as before because we just had set 1 expire in the set 4. So you're not getting as many upgrade materials, and then the territory rerolls are not going to be, they weren't increased, and they're a lot more difficult to come across in this manner. I think one other thing to point out is that they did increase the season. Right now it's expiring on the December 26th, or normally it would probably expire in November. So they increased it a little bit to have the set be around a little bit longer. So what they did basically to compensate for it, even though it makes it seem like it's a longer season, meaning you do have more time, but they stretched out the resources. They basically made it 2 times harder to compensate for that increase in season. So even though there's more time, They made the materials a lot more difficult to come across. So I honestly don't think they made a step in the right direction for this season. And we know it's a mobile game. What do you expect? So my tips here is this. One, I hate to say it. If you're worried you're not going to get the right rolls, it's one of those things where just don't take Grand Arena as seriously, because we know how big of a problem it is. We know right now, this season, it's going to come down to a lot of cooldown reduction, datacrons, and that requires some good level 6s. And it's only first, the problem is, you have to get the dark side alignment, right? You got to get the dark side alignment, and then you have a 1 in 6 chance. That's assuming the drop rates are equal. To get the cooldown reduction. Then if you have to re-roll it for that to get the right cooldown reduction, then that's going to jack up the cost of this right here. So now this costs 40 instead of 20 here. So there's just a lot of problems associated with this. But one, I'd say take Grand Arena a little bit less seriously. As you saw, I showed you what the top of Grand Arena looks like. People obviously spending a lot to get as many datacrons as possible. I don't want to play that game. But as I said, I'll engage it with as much as I can through conquest and territories and what have you. The datacron shipments here. And then the other thing, just to give you a mild hope, I do feel like that, yes, of course, there's a couple of great datacrons, like this is one. I think I'd rather have a different one, but this is still good, having the Lord Vader bonus ultimate charge. We also got Dasher and Dar, who gets the bonus turn when someone takes another attack. So those are good, obviously. And then the other level 9, it's really obvious, which unfortunately I missed it. And knowing me, every season I'm always missing out on something. And of course we have the Darth Vader one here that does the extra damage, 300% extra damage for enemies with percent health effect. So damage over time is what they're targeting at. The hope I'd give you guys is that, yes, these level 9s are great. I definitely think the meta for this season, I've said it before, is just trying to get 3 or 4 of these cooldown reductions for the Empire. The good news is you have the reroll accessibility, right? You can at least farm these inside of Conquest if need be, and they're also inside of Territory Wars. So I would say try not to sweat too much on the level 9s if you are someone actively pursuing, which I think this season I've seen more people trying to get involved, because these level 6 upgrades for Vader, for Mara Jade, for example, Tarkin, as we showed the other day, just one-shotting entire Galactic Legends teams. This is going to be the most important stuff here. Only downside is these caches are very difficult to come across. They took away from us. So in their pursuit of simplifying the system, I'd say they make things more complicated. So don't worry too much. It's one of those things where I trust me, I get it, guys. I don't want to repeat my opinion over and over again. I think the bonuses are cool and all. I think the process of the randomization, the cost, and them making it more difficult, despite this should have been a very accessible season, because set 1 expired. Instead, even though you think that mentality, they are always trying to stay ahead. And even though we're getting an influx of new stuff, they want to compensate and make things more difficult for us. So let's just adapt to the situation. Don't worry too much about those level 9s, in my opinion. And I'm hoping they make some improvements going forward, but kind of like what I expected when I saw the leaks, this is not going to be for the better for Galaxy of Heroes. So that's going to wrap it up for today, ladies and gentlemen. Gunnings and Droids, thank you for hearing me rant. Hopefully just put it on your radar in case you're wondering why is it so difficult this season. Well, this should maybe put a little bit more light on the situations. Leave a like, use that Death Star, the like button, and also be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And as always, remember, it's great to be in the Empire today.